Oh, that was weird. Did that just shut off like just instantly? That was just strange. Anyway, good morning, everybody. I'm here, and it's Friday, and my intro had to be a little, or my pre-intro had to be a little different because I'm, time challenged again. But I'm here, and you're here, and thanks for those of you who dropped in. I gotta, I guess I want to talk to you guys today about some stuff. Um, and maybe we'll just use the chat to do that. Oh, that's weird. I really look washed out there. My video settings must got messed up again. Anyway, I just want to ask you some questions and show you some things that on this debate about the Florida bills that are starting to show up in other states. And I want to make sure that we know what it is that we're talking about, because I think it's important. And so we'll do that after the intro, or we'll start that after the intro. And then I have some other news, but I don't know if I'm going to get to it, because I really want to kind of get into this one a little deeper and kind of show you what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'll explain in a minute. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog Studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, P. Dog Night. All right, stop the music. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P Dog Night on the internet, and welcome back to the P Dog Night channel. It's Friday. I hope you all have a good weekend planned, the 8th of April, 2022. And welcome. Nice to have you here. If you're, whether you're new, if you've been here after a while, most people have been here a while, I see. But anyway, real quick, first sponsor of the day, and this show is sponsored today by Tall Person, who is the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you for sponsoring the show, Tall Person, who says Happy Zoo Lovers Day. Happy Zoo Lovers Day. Well, I love me a good zoo, but I hope that's what it means, because it could mean people who do the nasty in zoos or some shit like that, but that'd be weird. I don't know why that came to mind, but anyway, it's still birthday week, as you can see by the fireworks in the background. Then this is the last official day of birthday week for the show, at least, because it's a Monday through Friday show. And again, Tall Person, thank you so much, by the way. So the topic today has to do with the use that we're hearing a lot over the last few days. And I mean, I get it. You know what I mean? I get it. I know that it's one of those things that you can throw at people, but it's also a word with a very specific meaning. And that is the word groomer. Yes, you are correct. I don't even know who said it up there. Was it DI? Or no, Somnambule Nation who said it. And the reason this came up, at least for me, is I was reading a thread by somebody that I hadn't followed before on Twitter, but I found the thread and I got to think about it. But I'm going to back up. First, let me just say good morning to everybody, and then we'll go into it, because there's a whole lot to this, and I really love to hear your opinions on this. And I have a few news items open, but like I said, I may or may not get to it. Depends on how long I talk about this. But so anyway, first in the chat today was, oh shoot, what happened there? Is this correct? Oh, they're right. Okay, they're matched. I was like, why is that one not match that one? First in the chat today is Avocados Diablo, who gets the bell. Thank you for being here. So. Also, good morning to Somnambule Nation, D.I. Freedom Watcher, Tyre Alexander. Also, hello to Mike Savage, Blarg. Also, good morning, Selecta Boy.
Yeah, boy.
And who else is here? I'm trying to get there. Neon Leon, what's up? Nice to have you here. Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
Also, good morning to, let's see. Is that everybody? It could be. Tyler F's in the house. Thank you, sir, for being here. Also, Plague Dr. Zach, a.k.a. Zach Osborne. Also, good morning, Anna Lynn. Legit Lone Talker. And Tall Person. And as people come in the room, I'll try to acknowledge you. I know there's a bunch of people who are in the background. And so... we'll see as you pop in. Anyway, So P Dog Night is 100 this year. There you go again with that 100 nonsense. I'm not 100. I'm not even 70. I'm not even 60 yet. Come on, man. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Yeah, what he said. Oh, you are.
You're a lying dog faced pony soldier.
Yes, you are. You are a lying dog. In fact, yes. That's, I mean, just like it's like.
Why the fuck you lying?
It's. Anyway. Yes, and black don't crack until you. Well, no, actually, about 70. It starts cracking about 75 for some black people. I was just trying to think. My grandmother had the greatest skin. My grandfather had wrinkles, and he was, whatever. But my grandmother had really great skin, well into her 70s, and kind of in her age. She had some wrinkles around her eyes, but man, my grandmother really had that black don't crack thing going. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about the whole groomer thing, and I know that part of this is kind of a reaction to the left and how they do things. So, for example, my graphic on the thumbnail today. Thank you, Annalyn. I'll get to that in just a second. My graphic on the thumbnail today is what the hell's going on here? There we go. Is this tweet by the Alice Smith character on Twitter, where it says, "You Nazi, you bigot, you homophobe, you transphobe, you racist, you xenophobe, you Islamophobe, you fascist, you science denier, you conspiracy theorist, you hater." Okay, groomer. Hey, quit calling me names. I get the point. And I get the temptation to do this, and I do it myself. I've been kind of doing it, although I guess I haven't. It's funny. I haven't typed the word groomer or said the word groomer in this whole debate, because groomer does have a specific meaning. Real quick, let me do the. By the way, I do have my cup of lukewarm reparations right here. And also, thank you to Annalyn for sponsoring the show.
China is asshole.
I don't know why they did that, but anyway. Oh, it's a sponsor. We have a sponsor. It's by the way, I should probably it's on sponsors. I have to do sponsor music. Just a second. Let me find something appropriate, some appropriate sponsor music. It is Funky Friday on this Morning Night Live too, so always prepare for the funk. Maybe. What the hell's going on there? Why did the funk not? Oh, because I know. Silly me. Let me just rewind that. Hang on. Let's try this. Okay, let's try this again. We have a new sponsor. St. Michael's Wood Chippers. Cheaper than burning. Ah, yes. That's kind of a, this, what this sounds like? This one, I pull them up randomly. I don't know what they are because I don't know all these songs on my music service. Doesn't this sound like a casino movie? See Brad Pitt and George Clooney walking through the casino. And then they run into what's the brother's name? Anyway, you feel it? You feel that casino vibe to it? Oh yeah. Okay. It's very distracting. I'm distracted now, and I forgot what the hell I was going to talk about today. So we'll just listen to the casino music. All right, cool. All right, that was that. All right, cool. Anyway, thank you, Annalyn, for doing that. So, there's this tweet and I laughed about it this morning when I saw it. Because that's kind of the impetus by everyone, using the word groomer. And then but then there was this other, this other person who I didn't follow, but I'm following now because it's interesting. One point she makes is, watch the groomer thing lose the Republicans in the midterms. And she says, I'm sure as fuck not going to vote now. Good job, morons. Now, and it's and let me go to the thread though that she really tries to explain this, because it's an interesting thread. Let me put it that way. Um, the okay. Well, first of all, she gets into the whole trans things first. This is it's a little longer than this. Oh, this is a longer thread. This one's like too long. I don't know why this thing is a revolutionary thing to say, but maybe it is in this day and age. 99% of the people who want to F little girls are straight men, not lesbians, not people of various queer identities. Don't get it twisted. Okay, she must be a feminist. A lot of folks. Okay, this is not the one. This is not the thread, but I'm going to bookmark this one too because I haven't read this one. This is not the one I wanted, but she's complaining about the word groomer. Okay, because it has a very specific meaning. And oh, good Lord, where is it? Okay, well, I am going to read this one because it is interesting. It's interesting. If you aren't going to vote for them because the word groomer, chances are you were never going to vote for them in the first place. So what is the loss? No, I agree with that, but and again, I'm highlighting this thread just for the discussion's sake. She says, I don't know why this is a revolutionary thing to say, but maybe it is in this day and age. 99% of the people who want to F little girls are straight men, not lesbians, not the people of various queer identities. Don't get it twisted. A lot of folks have a taste of blood and seem to get very excited to get those freaks who are after kids. Hate to tell you, but when the mask comes off, the pedos, most turn out to be regular looking straight dudes. Exciting stories like Jimmy Savile are the exception, not the rule. I don't think I've ever heard a single story about a drag queen molesting a little boy. Not one. Well, I have, though. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. And you know that if such a story existed, it would be all over right-wing media. All they got is some dude not crossing his legs. I understand why men have such a visceral reaction to seeing a little boy dressed in drag. Before you F a thing, men turn it into a woman. Heck, workers in the jungle of Borneo shaved an ape and put lipstick on it and used it as a sex toy. But some of us are women, and the sexual experience of women is that queer spaces are the main place people don't want to F us. I'm just using, obviously, limited language. That's why so many women go to gay bars. When a woman cuts off her breasts, she's making herself less sexual, not more. And I'm sorry if I have old school definitions. In my humble opinion, sex is when someone fucks you with their penis. Somehow this seems like a taboo thing to say in 2022. What about emotional penetration? What about assault of my feelings? But I'm old school. If you don't have a penis, you're not fucking anyone. So she is defining sex very narrowly. Men have penises and women have vaginas. She's very factual as far as human beings. Most sexual assault is men assaulting women or girls. Moving away from this has people spouting ridiculous nonsense like more early grade teachers should be straight men. Oh my God, idiots. The vast majority of child molestations involve exactly what Holly something wrote of. A young girl left unsupervised for long periods of time and with an unrelated male. That is reality. That is what risk looks like. You may not like parents taking their kids to pride parades, but I have never heard of a single story of a kid being molested at one. Not one. Now, so part of I'll get through this thread first, and then we'll talk about it. Holly's story happens every day of the week. Do I agree that the trans agenda? Do I agree with the trans agenda and global homo? No, I don't. But don't you fucking steal the very real dangers me and my daughters experience every day for your agenda. I know I'm raging out, but boo effing who, some kids saw a naughty picture. Now, here's the problem. Again, this is not what they're talking about with this bill, but anyway, I said I was going to go through it first. Do you have any idea how many guys hang around out in doorways and alleys jerking off when little girls walk by? No, I don't, because I guess I haven't heard of. They were everywhere when I was a kid. Literally everywhere. Literally everywhere? Okay, interesting. Never heard of that one. Bottom line, people are much more upset about the idea of a little boy getting raped than a little girl. Maybe they're right. I mean, we were just put on earth to F, right? You know what else about the sexualization of children? If you're a girl, once you turn 11, everyone wants to F you. No sexualization needed. Boys have the luxury of leaving the house without getting hooted at. That must be nice. My dad gave me the Little Red Riding Hood talk when I was 5, heading to kindergarten. The streets are dangerous for little girls like you. Don't talk to strangers. Don't ever let anyone get in your car. Don't tell anyone your name. He didn't tell me I'd be raped if I didn't follow these rules, but it was implied. The things he did tell me scared the shit out of me, so I didn't talk to strangers, and I wasn't surprised when I saw evil. I knew to avoid bad people. It was part of my job. And I admit, I get angry at parents who are so concerned for their children's innocence that they refuse to have the Little Red Riding Hood talk with them. For my dad, he probably thought it essential as I was constantly wandering off. But even in today's quote-unquote safe world, it's just an insult to every little girl who's ever been chopped into pieces and dumped in the woods to claim that the real dangers to little kids is female grade school teachers with misguided ideologies. And another thing, if you want to influence your kids' thinking on anything from drug to sex to trans issues, the way to do it is to have conversations with your kids before the school does. I couldn't believe my kid's third grade class read I Am Jazz. Oh, really? Do you not have internet? Do you not watch television? Do you live in a cave? If you talk to your kids first, you plant the seed of their opinions. Everything they hear will be filtered through the lens of, well, my dad said. I can't recall a damn thing I learned in DARE, but I can quote the entirety of the drug talk my dad gave me a year prior. To circle back, the trans threat for girls is, in fact, quite serious. For middle-class girls, it's much more common than being molested. But body dysmorphia is to sex is what concrete is to gardening. I'm not sure what that means. My perspective is that becoming trans is a problem of the white and middle and upper classes. Many girls in my sphere are trans. Being molested is a problem of girls who are, by and large, poor and disproportionately black. I've never seen a black girl amongst the proud post-mastectomy pictures. But I do know 1 in 4 black girls is molested by the time they reach adulthood. That's a dubious figure. But it's possible. I don't know. And yes, there is a whole subculture in which girls who become trans are taken advantage of by older men who are trans. The whole thing is super abusive, but the girls involved in that world are by and large of legal age. Not all of them, but most. The problem with the trans agenda is that it's several agendas at once. 1, Munchausen moms and homophobes turning gay boys into little girls. 2, troubled girls and lesbians with body dysmorphia. 3, post-pubescent boys and men with AGP, which is autogynephilia. The most focus is on 1 and 3. And it frustrates me because so many girls have body dysmorphia, it's practically standard. But everyone focuses on people born male because they are more, quote, real, unquote. Girls and women are the expendable second sex. I get it. People with penises are more exciting. They are stronger and faster, more forceful, and more risk-taking. Heck, they even look better as women than we do, at least when they're young. But I will not stand by while men pretend they are more vulnerable than women. You can literally take anything you want from women, but you cannot commandeer our sexual victimhood. That is a bridge too far. Why don't they just take off our skins and wear it? The most abused in this whole thing is the lesbians. Literally nobody gives a shit what happens to them. If straight men were being preyed upon the way lesbians are by AGPs, again, autogynephilias, there would have been a war waged by now. But the victimizing of adolescent boys has been going on for a while now. Boys ages 15 to 25 are the most extreme risk takers on the planet. They manage to get themselves killed doing just about everything. But we're supposed to be scared they'll be victimized. By who is the real question? Because I don't hate teenage boys. I quite like them, but they are a danger to themselves and everyone around them, and the notion that what happens to them is somehow not their fault astounds me. They literally crash cars daily. Fun fact, the entire reason we have the helmet laws in America is boys ages of 15 to 25. Almost nobody outside this group suffers head injuries bike riding. Literally nobody gets head injuries snowboarding besides boys 15 to 25. Girls are forced to wear helmets entirely because of boys. This isn't about the trans thing, but about how the political right, with their efforts to save boys, have pushed the idea that boys and girls are the same and subject to the same risks and have the same level of aggression, which is 100% incorrect. Hard times create strong men. Strong men create good times. I wonder at what point it becomes women cause all the problems because they are stronger than men and it's all their fault, because that's where we are now. Now, and then she's talking about how she's closing her account here. Now, the point she's making is one that I find interesting, because I told this story before, but bisexual women most at risk of domestic violence from their female partners. Well, that's but overall, the statistics are she's not saying, nothing she said is incorrect statistic wise. Now, one of the reasons I found this thread interesting is because we've been talking about the so-called, the parental rights bill, the so-called don't say gay bill, right? And we've been throwing around the word groomer, and it as far as when I go back to this Alice Smith tweet, I think the reason it's being used as much as it is because of this same thing. It's, this is our chance to say, call them something that kind of fits in some ways, because, anytime you start talking to kids about sexual things and then say, don't tell their parents that you're telling them, is, it seems in the grooming category. But I think one of the reasons, and part of the reason too, is because when they talk about the Florida bill, for example, we say it's an anti-grooming bill. But what I think is interesting as we look at, they call it Gen Z, right? Or the Gen Z and Gen Alpha. I guess the whatever's after Gen Z is Gen Alpha, right? Zoomers. Before this generation, the thought of someone being LGBTQ, or the people who categorize themselves as LGBTQ, right? The numbers of the percentages of LGBTQ people was roughly, it's always been around 3%, 2 to 3%, right? But in this youngest generation that we have now, it's like upwards of 25% of them identify as LGBTQ, right? And the trans category of that has just gone crazy. And I go, well, what is it, Gen Alpha? Okay, yeah. What's the cause of that? And part of it is that all these people who were in school, in college, in the 90s, in the 2000s, are now all becoming teachers, or 80s, 90s, 2000s, all become teachers. And the whole idea that we're teaching kids in elementary schools, especially teaching kids things like, that boys and girls are assigned at birth. You're not really a boy or girl unless you feel like a boy or girl. And the fact that we celebrate, because, now look, I'm not saying that anyone needs to go back in the closet, because I don't give a shit about what people do in their personal lives. But the fact that all of a sudden, who are the people celebrated the most in our society by certain elements, and especially in the education, because we make such a big deal about the jazzes of the world, right? We oh, jazz is so brave, jazz is so cool, this and that, and you make something cool and you make something exciting, and that gets someone a lot of attention, then more people are going to want that. Not knowing that this is some people actually go through a major struggle, right? Go through major struggle internally about these things. And again, they always, I'm thinking this through without a plan here. So it may sound like me just thinking out loud. But I look at, we make these celebrations of coming out, and it makes someone so special. And then you get into school where they start telling you, well, they tell you that you're not necessarily, you're not born with it. There is no meaning in what you are. And her point about how, especially girls going through puberty, already have, girls who go through this body image issues because of, certainly because, society does that to girls for whatever reason, the way we're raised in society, and girls changing body, it makes them, at first everyone's the same, then all of a sudden girls' bodies start changing. They're like, this is weird. Yeah, this and that. It reminded me when I was at this, this is a memory that's going to stick in my mind for a long time. When I was at, we were at the San Diego Zoo a few years ago. Speaking of Happy Zoo Lovers Day, I was at the San Diego Zoo a few years ago with my son and my wife and their grandmother, and we were riding one of those zoo bus tour, the zoo tour buses, and you sit on top and you can see all around the zoo, right? And we're up near the front of the bus, and there was these two girls behind me, and I'm guessing that they were guessing they were about in 7th or 8th grade. And they were having this conversation about a couple of their friends in their class, that they're female friends who have decided that they are boys now. And and they were saying, and it was so matter of fact that they were saying that the one girl was, she says she's a boy now, and so she makes sure everyone use her new boy name and this and that. But the other friend that they were talking about, who also said that she's, apparently this girl who says she's a boy now was getting all kinds of attention, right? And they said, well, their other friend who decided also to be a boy, well, she was just doing it because the other girl who decided to be a boy was getting so much attention. And she didn't really think she was a boy. She was just doing it because she wanted the same attention. And I was thinking to myself, well, wait a minute. I'm pretty sure that in this day and age, if you're in school and you suddenly decide, and this is part of the bill in Florida. So these girls have decided that they're boys. Oh, and the other thing that the one girl they said about the second girl is that she only does at school. She doesn't do it. She doesn't do it at home. She doesn't want to tell her parents. But at school, apparently at that school, they honor her being a transgender, right? And I was thinking to myself, and as soon as I heard about this Florida bill, because part of the Florida bill is that if you change any of their physical, mental or something health service, if you change any of their services, you change anything about them, in the school, you must notify their parents. And so the LGBTQ activist lobby or whatever are saying, "Oh no, they want you to out you to your parents," as though that were a bad thing. No, they shouldn't be allowed to tell your parents. Wait a minute. Are you seriously saying that if my child, and even and remember, this bill about not talking about sex and teaching what do they say, gender roles, whatever, gender in kindergarten through third grade, and then beyond that, having to notify their parents if you change their services or based on something. That's the idea that you're complaining that you might out them to their parents, or you're saying that their parents have no right to know. If Jenny is referring to herself as Carl at school, that her parents have no right to know that. That you can't out your minor child to the parents. You're not allowed to let them know. It doesn't make any sense. And so I understand. Okay, Spud did a good point there. That's where I want to get to this point of grooming. Now, when they do that, is it because grooming definitionally is basically preparing or influence a child into a point where they will do sexual things with you, right? That's technically what the term grooming means in this context. But I think in that situation, is it because they fear creating a stigma with your child for LGBTQ communities or whatever people? Is it technically grooming? That's the question I'm asking here. And so I guess I'm going to start paying attention to the chat here, because that's the question that I'm struggling with this conversation. And so, I mean, is grooming the right word? Now, oh, by the way, another thing that this person did that I thought was was interesting and apropos, I thought. This person made a meme because memes rule the day. Oh, and this isn't it. Hang on a second. Let me see if I can find it here. Let me find it here. Where's her thread here? I'll just leave her. Okay, hang on. That's not it. I don't want that thread. Let's. Where did she do with it? Where is it? Because I thought this was. Oh, I see what I did. I made a mistake here. Oh, here we go. I thought this was apropos because her point here, I guess, is she says, so I made this by looking up 4-letter nouns and using a free meme generator. Do you think people calling people groomer on Twitter is more effective than if someone with real money and real advertising skills did a national campaign like this? And I thought this was pretty good. Not your pawn, not your prey. So it kind of puts it in both perspectives, because what they're really doing, what they're really doing in these schools with this stuff, it's not so much that they're grooming kids, but they're normalizing what their beliefs are and their agenda is, which is to make this something completely normal, and make by having kids learn their language, then it makes it normal. And so I thought this was a good point. Not your pawn, not your prey. I don't know. I found that is that more effective than saying groomer? Now, I love the fact that people who people who hate this law hate being called groomers. Just like, but it's just like people who call you Nazi or bigot or homophobe or transphobe or all that shit. It becomes a meaningless term. And I don't know if I want the term groomer to become meaningless, because there are actually people out there who are groomers, who actually do this shit, and they prey on kids. You know, kids who are vulnerable, kids who haven't got fully developed brains. So let me go back here. Let's see. I'm going to just go through some of the chat here, because again, this is more of a conversation today than me just spouting off news and everything. I'm going back to where Black Hebrew Light says, angry lesbians blame men for everything. Repeal the 19th. Okay, that.
That's right.
Spudgun, yep, it's known as Gen Alpha. Thank you. Unless she means worldwide, because it's more there probably than in the U.S. total. Well, that's that whole. I'm not convinced. I'm not convinced that the 1 in 4 is necessarily accurate. I don't know where she came up with that number. I'd have to see where she got it. So I don't know. And she said 1 in 4 black girls are sexually molested before they turn 18. And I don't know if that's. I don't know where she came up with that number. I know the ones that they were talking about in colleges was exaggerated because the way they did the survey. Real quick, let me do we have a sponsor here, and so let me grab some sponsor music, and let's try this one. No, I'm not gonna do that one. Let's not do. I don't want to do a casino one. Here, let's try this. Today's sponsor is Trendy Bodies. Trendy Bodies will make you the talk of the town. We'll get you all the attention you want. Want to be popular? Become a transgender with Trendy Body. Trendy Bodies will make your life trendier. Be careful though. No refunds. Thank you, Tyre Alexander, for the fantastic ad this morning. Appreciate it for dropping ads into the tip jar. Greatly appreciated. Nicely done. All right, so let's see. Unless you mean, okay. I took a half the population and 25% of that. If she does mean worldwide, that's a different story. Well, you did half the population. What did you say? There was it'd be 43 million. Half the population of females. Yeah, she's saying 1 in 4 black girls. I don't know where she got that from. Mike Savage, I will use the word groomer to describe these people because that is what they're doing, grooming. Either that or I'll just use pervert. I think very inappropriate talks about things that young kids don't need to know about is where I'm at. And if you're going to use the word groomer, I would say grooming them to make something the norm when it hurts so many people in reality. You know, people, the whole thing with using chemicals to change your body, using when in sometimes in a lot of cases, it's not, you know, people change their minds a great deal on this, and it's turned into something that, because of the trend, it's damaging people, and that's the biggest problem. Making it so just a matter of fact, and making people, you know, change their language to accommodate something that is harmful to most people who go into that realm. It's just, it really bugs the shit out of me, man. You know, beyond it just being unfathomable to me personally, but you know, you look at the harm it does to people amputating perfectly healthy parts of their body because of some dysmorphia, some trend that gets you so much praise from certain circles, and get you so much attention in certain circles. It's not the, you know, I treat it as such an attention-seeking behavior. And the other funny thing about it is it just seems why they've taken the idea, at least some people have taken the idea that it's a mental disorder off the table, even though the American, Association of Psychiatric or whatever care hasn't necessarily. It's still on the list of mental disorders. But anyway, at age 19, Tessa says, at age 19, I wanted to be a guy because they can pee standing up. How stupid and insane thinking. Yeah, it's not because of something. A lot of it's not because of something that's logical, but it definitely gets attention. Pete, I keep an eye out. The snapback from the Zoomers is already starting. As in, Spud Guy, when you say that, what do you mean? You mean like they're starting to figure out, hey, what the hell were we thinking? I know I see that in, I see that a little bit. Because I hearing from just now, again, this is anecdotal, but hearing from either of my kids' friends or even my kids a little bit, you hear that how it's like, oh, this is nuts. You know what I mean? And Lynn, there's no way the quarter count, 1 in 4 counts worldwide, Middle East would mess up those other stats. Make them worse or better? I don't know. Nothing but a G thing. Funny. Worldwide estimate would be 875 million girls are molested. Well, I guess in it's tough to say because it depends on definition of molested too. In different parts of the world, there's certain norms that we don't apply in a lot of the Western world either. So that's another way to say it too. Being able to pee standing up is awesome. I feel sorry for you that you can't. That's funny. It's sad that kids can list 72 genders, but will give a blank stare if you ask them, what is the Socratic method? Why? Or just a blank stare, what's 4 times 9? That's the other thing. Let's, especially in these young grades where they're really in an uproar about this Florida bill because, they're saying, oh, you can't say gay, which it's really not about, that Florida bill is really not about gay. It really, I think it is, the impetus of it is the gender issues. Because if you read the bill, teaching sexuality and gender. What was I guess I should pull up the thing for the exact wording, but it seems to be more about that. What's her name? Well, if boys would stop bragging about dotting the I, I think we're back into the peeing standing up thing. Tessa, I had a friend who was in the Forest Service, a female, and she said, with practice, you can pee standing up. I'm not sure how that works, but okay. I stopped thinking like that. Okay. Why are we talking about how you pee? I'm just curious. All right. They can't estimate it based on reported molested cases. The unreported percentage is higher than other underreported estimates. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that is. You could also buy a shiwi. We're still talking about pee in my chat. Come on. Oh my gosh, boss, the new forms have 700 genders listed. Is that a mistake? I'm having trouble updating some of the older contracts for souls. Anyway, let's see. Just ignore that. Okay, Prometheus and Chain, what did you say? Just ignore that. Had to hire someone's kid with a gender study degree that couldn't get a job anywhere else. So we humor him by letting him think we care. what's the purpose of a gender study degree? Somebody give me an idea. If you get a gender study degree, what is the field of work that you're planning on going in? I'm going to repeat this because I like to say it often. If you have a degree program, if you're in college and your major ends in the word studies, you need to start studying menus. Because is there any field of study that ends in the word studies that is actually geared toward you having a career? Gender studies, women's studies, even American studies. What is this? There's women's studies. If you can think of it, well, maybe that's the challenge this morning. Something that ends in the word studies, a degree that ends the word studies that actually is geared towards getting a job. Let's see. Yeah, but they're not grooming. Shh. Don't tell mom and dad. Yeah, no, I know. And that's the problem. It comes off like grooming because it's like, we're going to teach you this stuff, but you cannot tell your parents. I'm sorry, your parents have a right to know what's going on in your school, or they shouldn't be sending you to that school. If you ever have a kid come home and you ask them what they learn and they even hint that there's something they're not allowed to tell you, it's time to pull them out of that school. I'm sorry. Would you like fries with that? So anyway, equity specialist is a 6-figure job. The diversity and equity, equity inclusion, DEI. That's a new kind of. It's one of those corporate job titles. You're like the corporate officer for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Every single one of those people should be fired. Equity is one of those words where I say, the way it's being used now, if you hear the word equity, I say this all the time, if you hear the word equity, run away. Because all equity means is that equity is outcome-based, equality is opportunity-based. I'd rather hear about equality than equity. Gender studies majors can be professional complainers or chief diversity officers for Fortune 500 companies. Yeah, that's true. And there's a lot of 6-figure diversity and equity DEI departments that really don't, what do they actually do other than, count skin tones and sexual proclivities? But, how do you, let's say you're a DIE officer or DEI officer, right? How do you determine, let's say you just want to have, you say, we want to have more gender and sexual diversity in our company, right? How do you determine that? How do you interview for that? Is it like, yes, Mr. Ms. Chandler. Miss Chandler? Yes. Is that just Pat Chandler? Are you? Well, first of all, what are you? Because it doesn't say here on your resume. It just says they, them. So what does that mean? Okay. So are we hiring you or are we hiring multiple yous? Okay. Then, okay. Next. Do you, okay, I want to put this lightly. Do you have sex with people that have different genitalia than you? Okay, good. We can say, you're pansexual. Thank you for letting us know. Well, good. We don't have enough pansexual people who work here. How do they do that? I'm just, it's if you're hiring because of, and first of all, why are you hiring that way? I want to know if you know how to do the calculations to make that that particular formula over there. Can you measure ingredients and make that, formula over there or whatever? Anyway, by the way, hello, Sabi, Teddy, Teresa the Kid, Tales of Gore. Who else have I missed here this morning? Jeffrey Russell Jr., Unacceptable Views, Spud Gun, GDSOB, Asian Research Directorate, Midnight in Exile. There's a whole bunch of here now. I guess I wasn't paying attention whose names were in the chat. Fight for Our Rights is here. Good to see you, and so on and so forth. Anyway, yeah, I spent that much time on that. So the other thing I wanted to do today, and on that note, because so let's get an example though as I go through Twitter, and all I did was put in the search for the word groomer. Okay, now I do have some stories that are linked today. They will be in the description down below, and so anything we open up here today. But I'm not getting into any stories because we're going to go through this groomer. I did a search for groomer on Twitter. And so the first thing that pops up is a Libs of TikTok tweet. And this is something that the New Jersey, in New Jersey, they passed a new sex ed curriculum for the state of New Jersey. And talking about how they were going to, how they're going to add this curriculum that they're banning in Florida into the New Jersey schools. And now this is interesting because it's an interesting example they put in here. So this is Libs of TikTok. New Jersey passed a new sex education curriculum, and they're teaching second graders terms like clitoris. This is some sick groomer stuff. Now, I don't know my opinion on this. So here's the example of what they have for understanding our bodies. A lesson plan from rights, respect, responsibility, K through 12 curriculum. This says 212. I guess this target grade, second grade. Note on language. You will notice that this lesson refers to girls and boys when identifying body parts. The use of a binary construct of gender, as well as using gender, boys and girls, rather than the more accurate biological sex, male and female, is purposeful given the development stage of students. Lessons in higher grades use more precise language and begin to introduce the broader concept of gender, which, great. Anyway, this lesson does, however, acknowledge that there are some body parts that mostly just girls have and some parts that mostly just boys have. Being a boy or girl doesn't have to mean you have those parts. Well, if you were involved in an industrial accident, I guess. But for most people, this is how their bodies are. And most people have a vulva and a vagina or penis and testicles, but some people's bodies can be different. Your body is exactly what is right for you. And then they say advanced preparation for a lesson. It is important to share PowerPoint diagrams with the supervisor prior to teaching this lesson to ensure they are acceptable for your use. I'm curious if they, and this is second grade. I'm curious if this is, well, they seem to think this is appropriate second grade. Anyway, by the end of this lesson, students would be able to correctly identify at least 4 body parts of the female genitals, knowledge, correctly identify at least 4 body parts of the male genitals, knowledge, describe why it is important for them to know the correct names for the genitals, introduce the topic by saying today we're going to talk about our bodies, including parts that everyone has in common, parts that we have that are different, and parts that are usually covered when we are in public. Explain that it is also important that everyone with a body knows how their body works and how to take care of it so that we can be healthy. Teacher's resource, note that it's up to each teacher to determine the amount and detail of information to share with their students in ways that are age appropriate. This sheet is for the teacher's use only, and it is not to be distributed to students. So then they just go female vulva, external female genitals, clitoris located between the top labia minora and clitoral hood, vagina, and then penis, scrotum, testicle. So it's an anatomy lesson, for second graders. At least it's, I mean, it's in a very clinical manner. Okay. But I just found that fascinating. Others things in here. Here's Jack Presobia. Hey, groomer, leave those kids alone. Again, this is just, I understand the sentiment. Is this just shit talking and winning an argument or forming an argument by calling names like they call people racist, Nazis, etc.? Now, this is not an argument. Not okay, groomer. Make these people answer if they believe puberty blockers. Now, this is the question that, yeah, this is a good point. This is probably the question that you should be asking, because this is where, excuse me, this is where they, this is the more of an important question to answer, whether or not they're going to teach body parts in second grade. This is the question. Listen to the question and the answer by Jen Sucky here.
Last item for you before we get to your questions. Across the country, as we've talked about a bit in here, Republican elected officials are engaging in a disturbing, cynical trend of attacking vulnerable transgender kids for purely partisan political reasons. Are they attacking
transgender kids? Are they attacking transgender kids? First of all, what is a transgender kid? How does a kid become transgender? Just curious.
Today in Alabama, instead of focusing on critical kitchen table issues like the economy, COVID, or addressing the country's mental health crisis, Republican lawmakers are currently debating legislation that, among many things, would target trans youth with tactics that threatens to put pediatricians in prison if they provide medically necessary life-saving health care for the kids they serve.
Really? What? Medically what?
In prison if they provide medically necessary life-saving health care for the kids they serve.
So now, that's interesting. So puberty blockers are medically necessary life-saving health care or surgeries for kids under 18, which really it should be 25 on this because your brain doesn't develop fully till then. But anyway, is life-saving healthcare. Puberty blockers are life-saving healthcare. How is that life-saving? How do you not mess them up even more with that? I don't get it.
Just like the extreme government overreach we've seen in Texas, where politicians have sent state officials into the homes of loving parents to investigate them for abuse just to harass and intimidate the LGBTQI plus community.
Oh, really? I'd love to know the example on that one.
Today's vote in Alabama will only serve to harm kids. But Alabama's lawmakers and other legislators who are contemplating these
Here, I'm going to pause just for this because the music's hitting. Thank you, Fight for Our Right, Fight for Our Right to Party, for a 20 spot. Thank you very much. That's very generous. It says, thank you for sponsoring the show. Why isn't it not working? There we go. Thank you for sponsoring the show. Who says, Fight for Our Right says, spread the wealth like Pac-Man spreads his cheeks. Good morning, P-Dog, and happy Friday, and stay blessed, brother. Well, thank you, Fight for Our Right. And if you're not familiar with David Pac-Man and how the hard bastard talks about David Pac-Man, you would understand that joke. So anyway, thanks again for sponsoring the show. You threw me off. But yeah, so this is the White House press secretary talking about whether or not they should be giving puberty blockers to kids without their parents' permission or with their parents' permission. I don't know.
Discriminatory bills have been put on notice by the Department of Justice and the Department of Health and Human Services that laws and policies preventing care that healthcare professionals recommend for transgender minors may violate the Constitution.
Hold it on. All of this type of healthcare. So you're saying that there should be no laws regulating elective healthcare? non-essential healthcare? Because I'm sorry, there is no essential puberty blocker use. That is a choice. That's weird.
Federal law. To be clear, every major medical association agrees that gender-affirming healthcare for transgender kids is a best practice and potentially
Do they
life-saving.
now? Every medical what?
Every major medical association agrees that gender-affirming healthcare for transgender kids is a best practice and potentially life-saving. All of this begs an important question. What are these policies actually trying to solve for? LGBTQI plus people can't be erased or forced back into any closets, and kids across our nation should be allowed to be who they are, without the threat that their parents or their doctor could be imprisoned simply for helping them and loving them.
So,
President
hold
Biden has
on,
committed in both
hold
words
on,
and
hold
actions
on,
to fight
hold
for
on,
all
hold on.
Americans and will not hesitate
So,
to
a
hold these
kid-
kids accountable. Last
A kid who cannot legally decide if they want to take an aspirin, or a kid who can't a kid who's too young to make a decision to vote can make a decision about altering their physical body and well-being for the rest of their life. What is she talking about? So that's the she says sex reassignment surgery, puberty blockers for kids is best practice. States preventing it will be held accountable. Really? And this is what we vote for. This is what now this is so much more important than whether or not we call somebody a groomer. I'm sorry. And then let's see. Only wicked and depraved mind would try to normalize pornography to children. At the same moment, many adults are waking up to its destructive effects. These people are tenderizing our children, and some conservatives, quote unquote, are more concerned about the overuse of groomer. Okay, the word groomer. Okay, and that's where I'm at. Is it even the appropriate word? Could it be predator, or just someone who's trying to, make their agenda more important than you? And this is the example they're giving. This New Jersey's new sex curriculum points elementary students to watch videos from a maze. This is one of their videos. They are telling 9-year-olds about watching porn. Okay, now the more I get into this, I get where they're going. Here's the video from a maze, which I'll probably get one of those copyright things for. YouTube, amaze.org.
Is it normal to watch porn?
Hashtag Ask Amaze!
Yes! It's normal. Lots of people watch porn. After all, it's right there and it's free.
Okay.
And anyway...
I'll tell you what. The only reason I'm cutting this is for time, but basically you get the gist. They have a cartoon talking about whether it's okay to watch porn. Let me just give you a link. That'll be in the links too today. Let's move on down this list real quick before I do, though. Thank you, Tyler Alexander, for sponsoring the show again. And this thing's, I would have to fix this. Who says, one question. Say a child is allergic to certain medication, and you as a teacher don't know that. What if a child gets sick and there is a botched operation? Is the school responsible? Is the school liable? Something like this will eventually kill a kid. Well, and I don't know that the schools are doing this. That would be beyond the pale. If schools are offering these certain medications or whatever to children without their parents' consent, although they tried to do that with the Coof jab, with the Fauci juice in some places, where they were giving people the jab without parents' permission. So is that happening? I know that, in fact, for example, Planned Parenthood in some places offer these services. And are kids going there without parents' permission and getting these services? You know what I mean? And as we go down this, though, stop calling me groomer. Well, stop being one. The left is losing their mind over the term groomer because this is the first time in recent history that they've lost complete control of a narrative they've attempted to manipulate with their phony "don't say gay" line. Now that, again, too, the groomer line is pretty effective against the people who are lying and saying that the bill in Florida says don't say gay, because it's not. Age appropriate. In fact, it's funny because that bill doesn't disallow the sex education and all this, everything that we're complaining about for the second graders, they're allowing it for fourth grade and up. So let's not say that it's a huge win. You know, I don't know. If you have sexual conversations with kids and hide those conversations from their parents, you are a groomer. This isn't complicated. Okay, that's Michael Knowles. The new Hassett rule should be that any Republican who uses the term groomer should immediately be asked a question about former GOP House Leader Dennis Hassett and how the many GOP electeds who wrote letters on his behalf after his conviction. Okay, that's, if you're not familiar with Dennis Hassett, he got in trouble apparently for some escapades with underage girls. I can't remember completely, or maybe it was underage boys. I don't know. The article here from Politico. This is from 2016. Dennis Hazard's legal team filed dozens of letters in federal court in Chicago on Friday from individuals expressing support for the former House Speaker in preparation for his sentencing Wednesday. What was he? I can't remember what he was. What happened to him? These are about the people who wrote letters on his behalf. Okay, Hassett hasn't addressed the specifics of the former student's allegations against him, but has offered an apology through his attorneys. Mr. Hassett acknowledges that as a young man he committed transgressions for which he is profoundly sorry. He earnestly apologizes to his former students, family, friends, previous constituents, and all those affected by the harm his action have caused. Let's see. One of the former students leveling sex abuse allegations at Hassett is expected to testify in the sentencing, as is the woman who says her late brother reported sexual contact with the then coach. So he, all right, so there's explanation. Anyway, so I'll leave that article up there too. But you know what? And does that make what happens currently any better? That's a big what about? What about something from 2016? Well, how about we talk about what's happening now in this situation? That's a bigger thing. White House and Disney are out there promoting abuse and mutilation of children, and some on the right are busy arguing that groomer is too mean of a term. Get your freaking head in the game. You know what? That's my question today. Let's see. Groomer, let's see. Of course, you're being called groomers. Have you seen the material being promoted to young kids in classrooms? There's basic sex ed, reproductive system, how babies are made, etc. And then there's an obscene push to teach explicit topics wholly unsuitable for young kids. So a lot of people talking about the word groomer today. And then we have the United Spots who comes up with stuff like this.
You're the vice president, Joe.
I thought I was the vice president. Yeah, I thought she was the vice president. Shut up, Joe.
Okay.
Yeah, shut up, Joe.
Gosh damn it, Joe. Shut up or I'm going to slap you through the sheetrock. Shut up, Joe. The president's trying to talk.
But nothing, Joe. I'm in charge and you're not, so zip your lip and listen to what I have to say.
Yes, sir. Who wants to take a picture with a princess?
Children of the world, listen! We only have 8 years left!
Churros for sale. Selling line for a $5 churro while you complain about gas prices.
Children, remember! Russia, Russia, Russia! Republicans are children! It's all Trump's fault, Trump's kids! fault!
Hey, kids! If your parents is homeless, tell them to buy a house. Hey, which one of you kids out there wants to rub my magic lamp? Parents shouldn't have any right. Don't disagree with the school board. Arrest all the parents!
Children, listen to me, okay? We, totally don't have, a lot of time left. So tell your parents to buy an electric car.
You're never too old for fairy tales.
Kids, don't say okay? But I'll circle back to that at my new job at MSNBC.
Hey, Jeffrey, Where's the Lolita Express ride at?
It's right over there.
Where?
Bill, you've been on it 100 times. It's right over there.
Oh, there it is.
Go have fun,
Okay,
buddy.
so
No, I
this
will.
is
Just gotta figure out who I'm gonna ride
the
first.
United Spots. You can follow them on YouTube. The United Spot. They do lots of silly stuff like that. Anyway, trans people are now. This person says, Madeline says, trans people are under assault in this country. The groomer meme is gasoline on the fire. It's time for a reckoning now, instead of in the near future when the inevitable violence shocks the mainstream media. So they're claiming that this is about violence. Interesting. In the past 3 weeks, Fox News has aired 170 segments about the trans community, incessantly lying that trans people pose a threat to children and seek to groom them. Now, and look, this is another thing. This is probably, there's not a whole lot of, well, okay, wait a minute. I'm talking without any facts. I'm just talking out of my head. Other than the case in London County where the kid sexually assaulted a girl at one school, and then they transferred the kid to another school, and they sexually assaulted a girl in another school. That's the only case that I can think of that I know of, but I'm sure there's some out there. So, but as far as sexual assaults, there's a lot of sexual assaults to go around. This is just happens to be the one that we're talking about now. Don't back off the word groomer. When you drill down, these people always end up defending policies designed to sexualize children, so shove groomers down their throat. They celebrate and sell this to warp the minds of vulnerable children. So showing some children drag queens. Someone here, I hear you. Kids should not know about sex until they are 18, the way God intended. Okay, this is being sarcastic. These groomers don't know what it was like back in the day, and you're forced to do what you were born with. You're forced to be what you were born with, penis and vagina. If you don't like it, get the belt. None of that in our house. But of course, the bill was about kids in K through 3, so that's what her point is. Crickets from every Dem is a groomer camp. Former Trump aide sentenced for 12 years for requesting videos. Oh, okay. What is this? So they're going to bring up, this is John Eiderroller from the Young Turds, I should say, who puts an article from 4722. Former RNC aide sentenced to 12 years for requesting videos of babies. A former ad designer for the Republican National Committee who called sexual abuse of babies his absolute favorite has been sentenced to 12 years in prison for receipt of child pornography. Look, this guy can burn in hell, and it's the first I've heard of it. It's so funny how conveniently this article pops up on April 7th when this is part of the topic. Hey, FTG, Ruben, whatever, Verashchigui of Washington, D.C., is guilty of charges of having 162 videos and more than 50 images of child pornography. Fuck this guy, okay? When someone brings up something like this, John Eiderroll, hey, guess what, John? Crickets from every Dem is a groomer camp. No one says every Dem is a groomer. But your policies of sexualizing children in certain ways makes you suspect, not suspect of being a groomer, but just suspect of bad judgment. And if this guy's a Republican aide or former Trump aide or whatever, fuck him too. Nobody likes any of them. They could all go burn in a fire. There's my point. If groomer is problematic, how about predator? Sure. Or just people who are teaching things to your children that don't need to be taught to your children at certain ages. Sorry. Why is the left nuclear triggered and sensitive over the word groomer? Because the same reason, look, nobody wants to be called that. I understand it. Just like nobody wants to be called racist. Nobody wants to be called Nazi. Nobody wants to be called any of the phobes or isms. Okay? If you use the word loosely and it removes meaning from the word. So anyway, that's it. That's all I'm going to talk about today. I have several articles that I was going to get to, but then I got into this topic. I'll give you the headlines. Former federal contractor. Oh, this guy got the first guy. One of the actual trials for the January 6th people found not guilty because there was clearly a video of him being allowed in the building. And his only charge, I believe, well, here's what his charges were. Knowingly entering or remaining in a restricted building on grounds without lawful authority, disorderly conduct which impedes the conduct of government business, disruptive conduct in the Capitol buildings, parading, demonstrating, or picketing in the Capitol buildings. He's the first outright acquittal of a January 6th defendant. He testified that a police officer waved him into the building after the riot erupted. They had video. There's video of they had video of police officers allowing people in. So, all those people who pled guilty to some of these minor charges are probably kicking themselves in the ass because there's plenty of video, at least certain places in that building, that people were let into the building. So that's the article. If you want to check that article here on legal insurrection, it's also a Daily Wire article. Judge acquits January 6th defendant. Reasonably believed Capitol Police let him in the building. And then more analysis by Julie Kelly about the narrative that's kind of going to rot when you see the video of them letting people in the building. You know, the dude with the horns, he was in a group that the police, they stopped, were talking to the police. The police says you can go in. That guy should have probably done that too. Also in the extra tabs, what the hell's going on here? Biden just pushing clean energy, and they're exploiting the issue with the gas prices to do that. We've seen a lot of that lately. Also, why are these doing this? California electricity prices are going way up because of the probably because of the electric vehicle things. Remember, they have this in California. They have a little trouble producing energy because they closed off. I know they closed off one dam, and they're not doing any nuclear power in California. And the electricity prices are going to make it not that. They were saying Biden said you're going to save $80 a week or $80 a month. Maybe not in California. Also, let's see. A school district to pre-K students, draw your own transgender pride flag. That's kind of in the realm. Apparently, as a part of an ongoing LGBTQ plus equity study month this April, an Illinois school district has suggested that pre-K students identify the colors in the rainbow flag and participate in making their own rainbow or trans pride flag, according to curriculum materials reviewed by the Daily Wire. Fan-fucking-tastic. You can read about that one. Finally, wind power company fined millions after it pleads guilty to killing 150 bald eagles. Oh, boy. Oh boy, what is this? That's not it. And then finally, Democratic offices around the country remain closed due to the pandemic. Don't they have an election coming up? They might want to open up their offices. Oh, the Democrat Congress critters and senators and stuff. Their offices are closed because of the pandemic, even though most states have lifted restrictions. So anyway. All right, guys, I gotta call it a day, but probably will be a trail stop stream tomorrow, usually around 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock Eastern. Thanks everybody for being here today. I apologize I kind of got back out of the chat for a while, so but thanks everyone for stopping by. We're here Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock. I will have the updated links. Updated link. It'll be a single link in the description down below where all these stories will be listed. They'll have links to it. And thanks, everybody. Hit the like button. Share the stream before, during, after the stream. If you're watching on replay, put a comment in the comment section. And finally, thank you to our sponsors today. Very generous sponsors today. Tall Person, Anna Lynn, Ty Alexander, and Fight for Our Rights. And And now, Black Hebrew Israelites, thank you very much. Just caught me before we got out of here, dropping a deuce in the tip jar. Thank you very much. And, oops. It says, DEI, I think you mean DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion position in any company is usually a feminist, mostly black, that work closely with HR to hire mostly other women. The only men they hire are flaming gay men or trans women.
That's right.
Hell, even Shemale that wrote the article has the pronouns in the bio. Yes,
that's
they
right.
do. Anyway, thank you very much for sponsoring the show. Black Hebrew Israelite. We got it in just before the bell. All right, gang. That's it. I'll be updating that link during the outro. You have a wonderful day. My name is P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here. Bye. Bye. Have a lovely weekend. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thank you for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.